All right, breaking news just coming in. There's more inside scoop that is coming in on the Chinese army pullback at Galwan. Army sources have revealed that Chinese army has started moving back the tents, vehicles and troops from the agreed locations where disengagement was agreed upon during the Corps Commander level talks in the Galwan Valley. They have moved back by over 1 to 2 kilometers, and it's still to be seen as to how much more further they will go back in the Galwan area. The Chinese, remember, had kept their heavy armored vehicles in the depth areas in the Galwan river area. The Indian Army at the moment is monitoring the situation with absolute caution. More talks between the two sides are possible is what we're picking up from the top sources in the Army. Shiv Arur breaking the story is now joining us again on this story. Shiv, you were mentioning earlier as well as to how this development needs to be taken with a pinch of salt as well, given the fact that there is a huge trust deficit between India and China. The reasons why that this development cannot be a breakthrough moment is something you were elucidating further. If you could just walk our viewers through it. Shiv, can you hear me? Shiv will be joining us in just about a bit, but Shiv was also mentioning earlier as to how this development is not a huge breakthrough. It is, yes, a start, but this development needs to be taken by India with a pinch of salt. India needs to really tread with caution at this point of time as well. Shiv is now joining us. Shiv, you were talking to us earlier about how this development needs to be viewed with a very cautious lens, given that there is a huge trust deficit when it comes to the Chinese. And there were thorough reasons that you gave in terms of the pullback that we're seeing, the geographical reasons as well. If you could elucidate that further.
Well, Chaiti, you're absolutely right. The trust continues to be at rock bottom right now between both sides, especially since the last clash that took place was after Corps Commander level talks. So at this point of time, the army is waiting and watching. The disengagement process is very much on. And what we're reporting today is basically the first visible signs of a relocation of troops. Even the army is very cautious about using the word disengagement just yet, because very importantly, the disengagement has not been verified. And unless it is verified on the ground by the Indian Army, it will not treat it as a disengagement. Right now, what has happened is a buffer zone, basically a margin along the line of actual control has been created, Chaiti, where both sides have, as part of a mutually agreed, modality at the Corps Commander level talks, they pulled back by a little under 2 kilometers. It's specifically about 1.6 to 1.7 kilometers. They pulled back. So there is a buffer zone of about 3 to 3.5 kilometers, that straddles the line of actual control, and both sides are remaining equidistant from that particular buffer zone. As I understand it, the verifications of this pullback are still being verified by the Indian Army, and I have no doubt that the Chinese Army will be doing the same. But until it is verified on the ground and it is proven that this is a permanent sort of relocation of troops, it actually, means nothing. And that is the reason why the Indian Army is being cautious about, milestoning this as some kind of major step. But even within that, the fact that rollback of these troops is happening for the first time since June the 17th, when those tents and encampments had come back to Patrol Point 14, is of significance. I don't want to play it down. It's definitely significant, but cautious optimism is something that the Indian Army is maintaining. Their operational readiness continues to be extremely high. So for anyone who thinks that the Chinese have rolled back so the Indian Army can rest is not true at all. In fact, their guard is even more heightened, because until this entire situation goes back to a status quo ante, how it was before May the 2nd, none of this is actually going to stop.
Absolutely. And this you mentioned, Shiv, about the Galwan Valley area. What are your sources indicating as to how things stand as far as Pangong Tso and those other regions are concerned?
Now, the disengagement process theoretically is on in all of the 4 friction points. That is the Galwan Valley, Hot Springs and Gogra Post, as well as Pangong Tso. But what you ask is a very good question, Chaiti, because according to my information, this relocation of troops has only happened at Patrol Point 14 in the Galwan Valley. There has been no significant disengagement or relocation of troops in either Gogra, Hot Springs or in Pangong Tso. In fact, like we've been reporting, in Pangong Tso, the number of positions from the Chinese side have actually increased in the last 1 or 2 weeks since the corps commanders spoke for the second and third time. So in that area, the intentions of the Chinese are vastly different. There it is very clear, Pangong So I'm talking about, that they want to change the status quo. They're showing no signs of actually wanting to disengage and leave from that particular area. So this is a tricky situation. It's a dynamic situation. They're not doing the same things and, showing the card, doing the same things across the friction points. In one place, they're relocating. In another place, they're mobilizing and escalating. So it's a dynamic situation across these friction points, and I can tell you that the Indian Army has its highest state of operational readiness as far as China's every move is concerned. I also want to tell our viewers that at 2:30 p.m. today, there will be a satellite sweep of the area, commercial satellite sweep. So we are expecting to get some images of what this disengagement looks like in Galwan and what the current situation looks like in the other friction points.
Absolutely. Shiv Arur getting us that India Today exclusive right here, talking about how the Indian Army is moving forward with cautious optimism on the back of this development. Thanks much, Shiv, for joining us with those details and the inside track on the Chinese Army pullback in the Galwan Valley area.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.